Now, the Royal Commission into Institutional Responses to Child Sexual Abuse has turned its attention today to the current policies and procedures of Jehovah's Witnesses. Nicole Chettle has been at the inquiry. She joins us live now. Nicole, take us through what the inquiry has heard so far today.
Well, the Royal Commission is looking at how the Jehovah's Witnesses Church responded to its recommendations after a hearing which looked at the experiences of some survivors of sexual abuse back in 2015. And we heard that there are in fact 67,000 members of the church across more than 800 congregations in Australia. Now, its governing body is based in the United States, and because of that, the Commission has no powers to compel any of the big guns, so to speak, to come and give evidence. It did request that authorities from the US appear at these hearings either in person or via video link, but they declined. However, there were two senior church officials questioned today, and they're based in Australia, and they were asked about a number of issues, including changes to church laws which now mean that victims are not required to confront their abuser, and also the church's refusal to abolish what's known as the two-witness rule, which means that if the perpetrator doesn't confess to child abuse, then two eyewitnesses are required. And Terence O'Brien from the Jehovah's Witnesses faced some quite intense questioning about this issue, including from the chair of the Royal Commission himself, Justice Peter McClellan, who said that really this puts survivors of child abuse in a terrible position if the organisation itself won't accept that abuse has occurred in the absence of a confession and two witnesses. And Mr O'Brien said that it's not a case of the church disbelieving survivors, but went on to say under questioning that scripturally the church cannot accept allegations if the survivor doesn't go to civil authorities, if there is no confession, and in fact if there are not two eyewitnesses. So that was really the focus of the evidence about the Jehovah's Witnesses for the morning session.
What else has happened since the last hearing involving the Jehovah's Witness?
It's quite interesting. Since the hearing in 2015, the Royal Commission has received more than 1,000 items of correspondence from people right around the world. We're talking North America, Brazil, Europe, New Zealand, and these are people who are overwhelmingly critical of the Jehovah's Witnesses' institutional response to child sexual abuse, and they're calling for significant changes within the church. We heard that since the last hearing, 17 fresh allegations of child sexual abuse have emerged, and of those, 15 were reported to police. The other two were not reported because the adult survivors declined to go to the authorities.
Nicole Chettle in Sydney, thank you.